Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alan Smason, and welcome once again to NOLA Theater Talk. This is part of a project that I started, outgrowth of the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, which I founded. And we broadcast not only to the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group every Monday and Friday night, but also to the theatercriticism.com Facebook page. And we do a number of readings. Those of you who were with us this past Monday were blessed to hear and see a reading done by Rob Pavlovich and Kelly Lynn of Clark and Carol, which of course detailed the romance of Clark Gable and Carol Lombard, as imagined by Rosary O'Neill, the playwright. And coming up next Monday, we want to remind everybody the second of the three-part trilogy by John Bigonnet that's titled Shotgun. And we're going to be dealing with that on Monday. And one of the main leads in that will be joining us in just a few moments. We'll be talking about that as we introduce him. But we keep in mind that the final part of that trilogy will be seen on August the 31st as we present Mold. That's the third part. We did Rising Water last month. We'll be doing Shotgun this coming Monday, and then finally on August the 31st, Mold. And those are the three parts of John Bigonet's trilogy that we're so pleased to be able to present. One of the leads who actually originated his role that he'll be reprising on Monday is our guest tonight. And without any further ado, I'd like to bring him into our conversation. A star of stage and screen, and an actor well known to people who have seen Treme or seen some of the other recurring roles that he's enjoyed on TV, or perhaps in some of the big screen vehicles that he's been a part of. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our favorite Treme actor, Lance Nichols. And Lance, I have to ask first off, your role was it Larry Williams? Is that right?
Larry Williams, that's correct.
Now, when they did that, was that a tribute to the New Orleans composer writer? Was that they used that name, or was it just coincidence?
Well, Alan, if they did, I wasn't aware of it. I just thought it was a name they just came up with. Just came up with.
Yeah. Well, and those of you who don't know, Larry Williams was a famous performer back in the 50s and 60s, and died unfortunately at a very young age. But a number of things that he did went on to fame as being covered by groups like the Beatles. And I think he did like Short Fat Fanny and a number of favorites that people in New Orleans would know, but not necessarily a lot of people out of New Orleans.
But Alan, David Simon, one of the producers, they did a lot of homework before they came here to shoot, and they talked to a lot of local people. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. What you're
saying. I wondered about that because I said it's just odd that would happen, and I guess a lot of people who watch Treme regularly, caught that as well. I have to ask, in terms of Treme and the success of that. They got the whole story of New Orleans out, and the despondency that we had, but also the resiliency that we had. Don't you think that it was an important thing that we saw the character and the strength of New Orleans?
Absolutely. It's one of the few shows that I felt that was actually set here that actually got it right, both the functional and the dysfunctional. Because of course, during that time, there was a lot of dysfunction going on in the city, with city government and people trying to rebuild their houses and people getting ripped off by contractors and people getting scammed. But they made a concerted effort to get it right, Alan. I mean, they actually came down here and talked to local people. They talked to the Indians. They talked to everybody, and they were willing to listen.
Yeah.
The time when we were shooting, there were times when things were not exactly factual, in my opinion. And I expressed my opinion, and they changed it.
I think maybe you might be hitting your wire on your buds, so just be mindful of that. It's making a little bit of a noise, I think. Okay. So, I should mention that because there was another. I think it was a Fox series called K-ville, named after Katrinaville, and they used to have, what was it, gumbo parties
Oh
we're
my
gonna get
God.
together. And I thought
Gu-
to myself, who made this stuff up? I mean, nobody in New Orleans has
Yeah.
gumbo parties,
Well,
but
that
yet
that show had a quick death, and I was really happy to see that. Oh my God, that show was horrible.
mercilessly. And Anthony Anderson went on to star, of course, in Blackish. That was sort of like New Orleans-ish, I would say.
Yes.
not quite
Yeah.
not quite New Orleans, but New Orleans-ish.
Right.
So again, tonight I want to remind everybody, if you want to leave a comment or want to ask a question, we're going to ask everybody to please go on streamyard.com/Facebook. And that will allow you, as a member of the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, to give permission to Facebook to have your name posted on the comments. That way I'll be able to see them, and I'll be able to actually post them as we're talking to Lance Nichols tonight. So again, I want to thank you. Lance, give me a little bit of background. Where were you brought up, etc.?
Uptown boy, 12th Ward, Louisiana, St. Charles Avenue.
Gotcha.
I was actually born on what used to be called Melpomene, but then they changed it to King. But when I was born, that was on Melpomene. I was born on the corner of Melpomene and Ferret. And then when I was 6 years old, the city raised all those houses to build the Gus homes. And
Sure.
so we had to move, and we moved uptown on Daniel Street. So I'm
So
a 12th Ward boy.
and what school? High school?
McDonough 35, Ron Eagles, baby.
Ron Eagles. Okay.
That's
Yes.
right.
Now,
Moran
and
El Child Ron Eagle.
I was just talking to Troy Poplis not that long ago, and I I actually talked to him a little bit about some of the stuff he's going to be doing, because he's been going to be involved, obviously, in some other projects that we're doing on our readings, etc. So I thought I'd mention that. So when did you get the desire to start the acting? When was that? Because I know you went to Los Angeles before you came back to New Orleans, right? That was the way it worked.
Right. Well, two things kind of happened simultaneously. In the summer of 1972, North, well, as during that time, North used to have a summer teenage musical workshop. And every summer they would pick a musical and they would cast the entire musical with teenagers. So in the summer of 1972, they did a musical called Hallelujah Baby, which had been done the previous year on Broadway with Leslie Uggams and Robert Hooks. And it was the first predominantly African American cast musical that they chose to do. And so my mom saw the audition notice in the paper, and I went down and auditioned, and I got the lead role in it and got bit by the showbiz bug. And then the next summer, they did Lo Abner. So I went back down again and auditioned and got cast in the role of General Bull Moose. And then the next summer, they did The Boys from Syracuse, and I went down again and got cast as one of the twins. There's a set of two sets of twins in the show. And I think I played Antipholus of Syracuse in that production. Around the same time, my senior year in high school, I was president of the drama club at 35, and I was also on the speech and debate team. And from that point on, it was that she wrote.
Okay. Now, when you went to Los Angeles, was that 72?
No, when I graduated from 35 in 73,
Okay, so
I went to UNO, and I majored in drama communications. Got my degree in drama communications from UNO in 77. Stuck around here a year. Worked part-time at the Beverly Dinner Playhouse.
Store Boone there at that time?
Store and Charlie Wisdom. Yeah, they were both there.
Okay.
And then I moved to LA in 1978.
That's fantastic. And you were there for what? Good
24 years.
Wow.
I
didn't think it was that long. I knew you came back what was it, in the early 2000s or so?
I came back in 2002, actually.
Yeah.
So I was in LA for 24 years.
That's a long time. Now, when you get out there, the first thing I assume is you got to get yourself an agent.
Well, the first thing you have to do is try to get acclimated to the city, because LA is such a large city, and coming from a very small city, it was quite a geographical shock for me, because I realized that I could not get around on public transportation. So the first thing I had to do was buy a car.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I had a place to stay. I had a sister who had been living out there since 1959, and so she let me stay with her for the first 2 months, and then announced that she was going to help me find a place, because she and her husband were getting ready to separate, and she didn't think I needed to be in the house. I had a very quick, rude awakening to being in LA on my own. Very quick.
I can imagine though, that it not only was it that, but also a generational kind of gap between New Orleans and LA in terms of New Orleans being a little bit of a slower town and LA being a much quicker town. Things being a little bit more.
Well, yeah, it was
Yeah.
almost like the tortoise and the hare, if you want a
Yeah.
good analogy.
Yeah.
Everything was much faster. I didn't know anyone in the industry, so I had to learn things by trial and error. And I made a lot of mistakes, got scammed numerous times, but eventually I learned, and that's why I started to carve out my career.
So what would you'd say your first big breakout in Los Angeles?
My first TV appearance was actually a game show. I was on the Dating Game in January of 1979 as a contestant, as one of 3 bachelors, and I actually won. The young lady.
Wow.
Yes, I did.
And was that the program that you met Zardis? No.
No, I didn't know her at that time. Well, it's funny because the young lady that picked me, we won a trip to Quito, Ecuador, but we never went on the trip because at the time the young lady was a student at UCLA, and so by the time our schedules were in line, I had met my wife, and she says you're not going on that date, so you need to find out you need to make a
Right.
choice. But I won
Right.
this before I met you, she said, and what's your point? So
Right.
they ended up giving me the cash equivalent of the trip, and so I never took the trip.
Well, you know what? I guarantee you that it probably went to good use in any event for a newlywed, right?
It did. So
Yeah.
but the first network job that I was on, what I believe was in 1982, I was on a show called Give Me a Break that Nell Carter
Sure,
starred
absolutely.
in with Dolph Sweet. That was my first network production.
Nell Carter, by the way, being the editor of the Crescent City Jewish News, identified as a Jewish, faith practitioner, if you will.
I knew that.
Yes, and she used to sing Hanukkah songs and things of that sort. Yeah, very interesting.
Wow.
But by the way, that brings me up to libation time. I need to find out what you're having tonight because I brought a traditional martini with vermouth, 1/3 to about 2/3 of vodka. It is a vodka martini, not gin tonight. And I did put in some olives. And what did I tell you, Lance, about the obligatory number of olives that you have to
It
have?
has to be an odd number.
And how many? How many is the minimum?
3.
3. See,
3 is the minimum, right?
At least 3 minimum. It has to be an odd number, so you can have 5, or God forbid 7 or 9. I don't know anybody who would have that much in their drink, but that's what I got. Now, what do you have for us tonight?
I have one of my favorite drinks, kombucha.
Kombucha.
Guava flavor kombucha, which I absolutely love. Nice and fermented.
Yeah, I used to have guava jelly at my house. Quite partial to that at one point. But anyway, good. Kombucha is good for you. Again, anybody who's wanting to leave a comment tonight, we want to remind everybody that you can do so on Facebook by just going on Facebook and putting it out. Let's take a look at some of the early things when you came back to New Orleans. Again, early 2002 or so. I have to tell you, one of the early pieces that I saw that I was just completely taken back by. And again, we were able to get a picture. I know you're not going to believe we did, but a black and white picture taken from the I guess it's the Times Picayune, and that would be is that Cara?
Was it Karen Livers? But she goes by Kaya Livers. So Kaya Livers, yes.
Right. And again, this was Yellow Man. And can you tell me a little bit for those that didn't get to see it? Yellow Man was. I mean, you did a lot of work in this. I mean, quite a bit. I mean, I was completely amazed at what you had to do in it.
I did it. There are 2 actors in the play, but each actor plays multiple roles. Karen played, I believe, 6, and I played 10. I played myself as a little boy, as a teen, as a young man, younger man. At my current age, I played my mother. I played my father. I played my maternal grandfather. I also played a friend of mine, a fellow teen friend of mine. And on top of that, we were narrating the story because the play goes from like narration to character, and there's no intermission. Karen and I were literally on stage for an hour and a half, and it was the most challenging piece of art, piece of theater I've ever done in my life.
Well, and again, for those of you who missed it, it was just I know it was. I'm pretty sure it was nominated for Big Easy Awards because I don't remember exactly, but
Well, you know, believe it or not, Alan, we only got technical nominations. We didn't get we got nominations for lighting and for set. We didn't get any nominations for performance or
wow,
direction. Which
I was amazed.
Which I didn't understand. Ryan Roulette didn't understand. We were shocked.
Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes those things happen, and you know, I can only tell you that it's a committee process. It's not one person or whatever, but it is unfortunately what it is, and you know, the process is not unlike you know, making sausage. Sometimes you don't want to know what goes into the process because it is a little bit of a difficulty. Now that was over at Southern Rep, correct?
Southern Rep on Canal Street, and actually that was my second show back with Southern Rep because the first show I did was a play called In Walks Ed, and that was done, I believe, either in the fall of 2002 or the spring of 2003.
In Walks Ed. Do you remember what that was about? I know you played Sky, I think, in that, huh?
Yeah, it was about it was the set was amazing. The set was sort of like it had sort of a cartoon look to it. It was blue, and it was about a guy who's you know who was in that? Oh my God, God rest his soul, Tony Molina.
Oh,
Tony played Ed, and he's like an ex-gangster who comes back to kind of collect on a debt. He was in it. Fallonay Tate. Did you remember Fallonay?
offhand,
Fallonay,
not yeah.
Fallonay
Okay.
played his girl. I played a character named Sky. It was a young actor whose name escapes me right now. His first name was Donnie. I can't remember his last name, but he was in. That was my first. That was my introduction to theater back in New Orleans, and I believe Yellow Man was my second show.
Yeah, yeah. But of course, like I said, I know you did a lot at Southern Rep, and you also, right around that same time, also were working with Dog and Pony Company with John Grimsley's group at the CAC. And unfortunately, I don't have a picture, but you did Top Dog Underdog, correct? And
Yes.
I seem to remember
Another
that was also a very powerful piece.
another demanding piece. For some reason, I don't pick easy shows, or easy shows don't pick me, Alan. I don't know what it is, but again, I got to work with Donnie, the young man who was in Air with me. He played my brother in Top Dog Underdog, and that was a great experience.
Now
And,
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead. I was just
I
trying.
don't know if you know this, but John Grimsley and I actually go back to our days at Nord. I've known John, and John has known me since we were both teenagers.
So Ty Tracy.
Ty Tracy, right?
Yeah, obviously, and again, Robert Bruce still around, and the
Uncle
biggest
Bob, as we
biggest
call him, Uncle Bob. Yes.
the biggest Ty Tracy booster there ever was. Now, I think this might be from one of your older productions too. You this looks like it might be at Southern Rep, and with the chairs behind you. Does that look right?
Oh, what is that from? I'm trying to. I don't recognize.
I think it might be from Relativity. Is that possible?
You know what? I think you're right.
And
It is.
now let me see. This is Troy Bichet
Yes.
and
Donna
Donna
DePlanche.
DePlanche, right?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Troy played my wife in that production.
Lucky
Wow.
guy.
Where did you find that picture, Alan? I love that picture.
Well, you know, I work in mysterious ways.
You're like the great and powerful Oz.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Right.
So, and again, that's some of the early stuff you were doing. Again, Southern Rep, Contemporary Art Center, but you know, in more recent times, of course, you know, you it wasn't that long ago. What I'm thinking was maybe end of January, February or so that we got to see you in a cast. That's Lauren Turner, and you got obviously Zeb Hollins the third, Jarrell Hamilton. I mean, some recognizable people in that cast, and a really remarkable piece of August Wilson's The Piano Lesson.
Yeah, actually, we were doing that show in March, and
Was it March?
We opened in March. The first weekend, packed houses, and then the second week, the pandemic hit, and then boom, We closed 1 week
It was a
early.
remarkable production at Le Petit, and again, there you are.
Oh, I love that picture. I love that photo. Oh my gosh, that's a great photo. Look at that expression.
Now, again, this called acting, so you didn't actually play the piano.
Now,
but you did put it all into it. I mean, you came across as somebody who was gifted in that regard.
well, thank you. You know what? And I actually had a gentleman right around the time that show was running. A gentleman walked up to me in Whole Foods uptown on Magazine Street and said he was a musician, and he and his wife had come to see piano lesson. He was really impressed with let me see how he put it. He said, I was really impressed with your fingering. And I didn't know if I should say thank you to that or not. But he said he was really impressed with the way I told it. He said, if I didn't know any better, I would think that you actually could play the piano. And I told him everything was pre-recorded.
All right, so I'm not quite sure. This looks like this might be a comment from Donald Lewis, Don Guillory.
Don Guillory. Thank you, Don. That too was in Walk Say It With Me. And then he played my brother in Top Dog Underdog.
And I think he went to New York, and I don't know anybody's ever seen him since. So
it's like he disappeared.
Yeah,
it's like he disappeared.
Yeah. And also another comment from John Bostic. There you go, Lance is the man.
That guy's great, man. That guy's a great ambassador for equity actors here.
Yeah, we had him on the show with all of the Actors Equity Liaison Committee, Meredith Long, Sean Patterson, and also don't let me forget whoever the one was. Meredith, Sean. Why am I forgetting John? And I will think of it in a second. But anyway, we had the whole group that we invited on, and again, you were doing work, with many companies, but I think, I think the one that you probably have done the most work with, we mentioned already, with Southern Rep. I wanted to bring up one more, or at least one or two more that you probably will recognize, and that's this one, which I think was more a few years ago, and this one was with Robert Akey, Song of a Man Coming Through, and you were on all the posters. So I kind of thought that you were going to be the lead, and you had a substantial role, but it was really more his story.
It was Robert's story.
Yeah.
Robert's story.
So I guess they didn't want to say who the man was that was coming through,
honestly, Alan, I think because I was really kind of uncomfortable with that, and I asked them about that, and they said that because it was a new show, that they felt they needed to draw an audience, and they felt like they had name recognition with me.
Yeah.
But it was really it was Robert Akey's. It was his story.
Right.
I just sort of like his sidekick.
And let me see if I've got this one right. This is another one that was done last year, and again a fabulous grouping there. That was Aimée Hayes of Southern Rep fame, and you, of course. This is August Osage County. And
a wonderful play, outstanding cast.
And again, what do you have to say about Aimée as an actress?
Well, I saw her when she did. Oh, this was a few years back. She played Blanche in Streetcar. And I remember they did the production in a little warehouse in Elysian Fields, and
that was fantastic. Michalopolis, right?
Right. And I was blown away. And at the time, I remember saying to her, we have to work together. And
all right.
And then this came about. And there she is.
How about that?
Hi, Lance. I think I'm your surprise.
Oh my God.
Your surprise guest that we had for you tonight. Yep.
Wow.
It's so funny because Lance and I, you called or I texted you. Yeah. Anyway, so it was meant to be that we would be catching up this way or some way,
Right.
Aimée, tell me what it is about Lance and his work that you have him on many an occasion to use as an actor, and what he brings to each one of these different projects for you.
I think honesty. I think that's what Lance. That's what you excel at. Is it's just you're in the moment and it's real, and Yeah, I'm always just riveted. So yeah, there you go.
An
From the
honest
first
answer.
moment, I think we worked on the breach together. Was the first
Yes, we did.
project in 2007, I guess. That's when we met.
Was.
Hmm.
And that
Yeah.
was not an easy project to work on either. You
No,
know,
it wasn't.
for a
That
whole
was
lot of
some
reasons. You
serious
know,
new play development. That was insane. That was hard. Yeah, but it was great.
it was.
I have to, say that Southern Rep has a reputation for bringing out the most of the new plays that are through the new play network, etc. But they brought out some plays that have had a lot of resonance. When you look at things like we were talking about with Relativity, which was almost a story of almost like reverse racism in a sense that it brought up examining racism from an opposite point of view, that the more melanin you had, the more
The
genetically
smarter you
advanced
are.
you were, the smarter you
Hmm.
are, and
Right.
and the more you'll excel in athletics, et cetera, et cetera. And it was a very interesting opportunity to have a discussion about that sort of thing, that people might be able to understand a little bit more about how systemic racism can be. And now, of course, all of these questions are coming more and more to the fore because of the questions that we're having in dealing with a lot of the Black Lives Matters protests, things of that sort, and how we as a society can move forward and address them. So, I have to say that I know that nobody's perfect and nobody does everything, exactly the way everybody's going to be happy with. But I think most people will admit the fact that Southern Rep has been very, very good in terms of bringing plays that bring about some controversy, but also opportunities for discussion. And that's part of what theater is about, isn't it? I mean, isn't that not a mirror on society, and also for us to be able to learn and advance ourselves and learn about the human condition?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it. I think it can be about that. I want to say something because I'm gonna forget it if I don't. August Osage County, I have to say, that was probably the strongest group of actresses I've ever worked with on stage in anything I've ever done as an ensemble. I mean, those women were fierce,
They were intense.
absolutely fierce. I mean,
Yeah.
and it was such an honor. I mean, a lot of times I just would stand in the wings where I could see, just so I could just watch them create magic every night. It really was
Yeah,
an
you
honor.
and me both. I'd watch Lara and Ellen and Mandy, and I was just like, this is it's intense. It was great. And Raina Houston, who's,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
Sherry Marina.
yeah,
yes.
I wanted to bring it up. Sherry Marina. I couldn't remember the other member of the. Thank you, John. So that was the other member of the liaison committee. We were talking about actors' equity. And again, now that we talk about equity, bring that back up. Southern Rep has been a leading, you know, uh, house for equity actors, and has continued to try to carry that banner forward. Uh, you know, uh, Again, I think that it's very important that we have people like Lance and other gifted actors who are part of equity to be able to be on a stage and be able to experience their work here locally, as well as to see them on stage, elsewhere in other parts of the country, or possibly on a TV or movie screen. So again, thank you very much, John, for keeping me honest. I don't know why I froze. I couldn't understand that. Thank you. In terms of Aimée, in terms of where you are, just before you jump off, because I got to get a little bit more of what Lance has been doing, and basically address him. Uh, right now, no
I have an
show.
update for you,
Yeah.
Alan. I'll give you. You're probably going to get a press release in your inbox in about an hour and a half or so. So this is like breaking news,
Oh,
non-embargoed.
okay.
Yeah, the Southern Rep is participating in the Breath Project 2020, which is with Jamal Chaston. I don't know if you remember. Jamal was the arts education person at Southern Rep and started our NOLA in school program, and was also a member of Universes, and he loved it here so much he moved here after we brought Universes in. And they are it's the idea is that BIPOC artists would be able to create 8-minute and 46-second pieces. They can be monologues, they can be interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, and they will be curated and part of a virtual festival. And when we get back to business or whatever that looks like in the new
Right.
universe, that is going to be better than this now. I really believe that. We are committed to producing them, like having them happen live. So it's a great opportunity for artists of BIPOC origin to create work in response. The reason why is we want to have a record now of what artists are thinking and dealing with, and how are they creating right now. And it becomes an archive that will be available to colleges, universities, and high schools, so that history can look back and say, this is what the artists were thinking about. This is what the poets were thinking about. And it's just really an honor to be a part of it. It's theaters all across the country. So,
Fantastic.
yeah. Lance, you should do a piece, yeah. Touches of the Rep will tape it. We'll tape it. But every piece has to be 8 minutes and 40 seconds. So we never.
Wow.
8 minutes and 46 seconds. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Right. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you, Aimée. Thank you for being with us tonight. I really
So
want
good
to
to
thank
see
you.
you.
This
Yeah.
is great. And again, a celebration for you. And again, once Southern Rep comes back, I know you're going to be out announcing, and hopefully we'll get to find out more about what's going on with you guys too. And again,
All right.
much success.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Amy and I have a little inside joke. Bye, Martha.
Bye, George. I'll see you later.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
So and again, anybody doesn't recognize that, that's not to the first president and his first lady. That's a reference to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So there's only when people say George and Martha, I don't think of Washington ever. So
Yeah,
I have to talk a little bit about your film work, etc. And I think it's a great jumping off part because despite the fact that you've been in New Orleans, unlike a lot of people who come back to New Orleans and they just sort of manage to do some local work, you've actually been quite busy. I mean, you've been doing a lot of work. But the first thing, as I say, I mean, aside from Treme, I mean, I know that you've been involved with a lot of different plays, NCIS in New Orleans, American Horror Story, even House of Cards. Those are all fairly big series. Some on cable and some not. So again, you're going to have to kind of guide me through some of these things in terms of what is what. I know one of the biggest movies that came out of New Orleans after Katrina happened to be this one, right? And that was Brad Pitt and playing the role of the mysterious case of Benjamin Button, right?
The curious case of
Curious case of Benjamin Button, and you are laying on hands there. It looks like to me.
Yeah, I was the faith healing preacher who was attempting to get him to walk, which I did, but I paid the ultimate price for getting him to walk. As he walked, I had a heart attack and dropped dead on stage. So, you know what they say: the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. So
that's correct. Well, speaking of a holy roller, there you go. On the other side of the cloth now. Now, what is this from?
This is from a pilot that was produced locally here called Shepherd, and it's about a local priest named Father Joseph who has a dark side, and because we're still in the process of trying to get this pilot sold, I'm not at liberty to sort of give away what his dark side is.
Okay, well, we'll so that's very recent, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we shot this in 2016, and it won Best Drama at ITV Fest, which was a big television festival up in Vermont in 2017. We won Best Drama, and I won Best Actor in a Drama. And the thing that I'm most proud about that particular project, Alan, is everything came from here. The finance came from Louisiana. Everyone in front and behind the camera were all local people, most of them from New Orleans. And I just was so pleased. It was like watching my child walk across the stage at graduation. because it was such an outstanding project. And I feel like it can hold up to anything that comes from LA, New York, Chicago. It doesn't make a difference. It's that good.
I have to ask you a question in terms of your work on TV. I know you've been involved with shows like The West Wing, which are rather serious, but then you also were involved with several comedies. Drew Carey show. You were on Everybody Loves Raymond. How is it different to do those kind of shows? And obviously Drew Carey and Everybody Loves Raymond, you've got one central person who's the star, and then they have recurring characters, and then they have people who are guest starring, etc. But how is it to do those kinds of things as opposed to doing something like, I would say like ER or Desperate Housewives, House of Cards?
The biggest difference, Alan, is that most of the sitcoms that I did back in the 80s and 90s, they actually were recorded in front of a live audience. So they would bring an audience into a soundstage and sit them in bleachers, and they would do the show, do the series almost like in a play form. You do it in consecutive order: scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. If they needed to go back, they retape things. So you actually got live reactions from the audience, whether it was laughter or astonishment. So it was like doing a play. So I felt like I was doing theater, except there were 3 cameras. They were shooting 3 cameras of it.
Right.
Shows like ER, NYPD Blue, and some of the other dramas I've been on, there's no audience. You're there with the crew. And so that's the biggest difference. But I had about a 15-year period when I lived in LA where all I was being cast was in sitcoms. They would not bring me in to audition for a 1-hour drama because they would tell my agent he's a sitcom actor.
Uh-huh. And what was the thing that got you noticed? Do you remember what it was that actually did get you?
I think, don't hold me to this, I think it may have been a Stephen Bochco show back then, which was the first 1-hour drama that I did. I'm not sure. Sometimes I look at my IMDb page, and it's like a blur to me, because after a while I don't remember the order in which I did. I know I did like Diagnosis Murder.
You think it might have been NYPD Blue, maybe?
It could have been, or Diagnosis Murder, or but once I did the first one, then it's like, oh, he can do drama, and so then they begin to call me in to do drama.
Yeah, and you prefer to do drama than comedy, I assume, right?
I prefer to do good work. I don't have a preference. Though I will say I tend to get cast 90% of the time in drama. Mm-hmm. And so when people see me do comedy, they're shocked because I remember several people came to see me in Song of a Man Coming Through. And that was a very serious subject, but my character was sort of like the comic relief.
A little bit, yeah.
And I remember several casting directors after the show stuck around and said, I had no idea you were so funny. And I said, I love doing comedy.
Yeah. Well, that sort of brings me up. Monday night we're going to be having a wonderful show, which rehearsals are starting tomorrow morning. So you and I will be sort of busy doing that. But that's going to be Shotgun, and you were involved. Matter of fact, I believe, if I can reach down, I've got the trilogy here. And if you go to Shotgun on page, wherever it is, page 1, where they talk about who was in it, you're listed as Lance E. Nichols, as Dex, and they say about when it was begun, the National New Play Network, rolling premiere at Southern Rep, Aimée Hayes, producing artistic director in New Orleans, May 9th, 2009, directed by Valerie Curtis Newton, and again, you're forever enshrined in the trilogy, and you're going to be reprising that role again this Monday night. So, and there's a lot of comedy. As much as people may not recognize, a Katrina-related piece that has a lot of funny lines in it. But
when I was reading it again, because I hadn't read it since we did it, 9 years ago, or however many years ago was that, and I didn't realize how much comedy there was in there. I found myself laughing out loud.
Yeah. So, and again, John Biggin, a marvelous playwright. We were so blessed to have Rising Water. Shotgun is going to come up on Monday night, and you will be playing Dex again. And Kenneth Brown, who played your potential son-in-law, would that be the best way to the boyfriend of your daughter? is going to actually be involved in reprising his role as well. So it's wonderful that originators of the stage roles will actually be back in a virtual setting and doing the role, and we're going to give it as much of a rollout as we can, and try to bring these things back to mind, because one of the things that we're trying to do is honor the resiliency of New Orleans, and coming out of Katrina as it was back in 2005, and here we are 15 years later, as to how far we have come, but also our spirit, our nature, and how we persevered through what were very turbulent times. I mean, there were times, I know, that a lot of people questioned whether or not New Orleans could come back. I don't think many New Orleanians questioned that it could come back, but I think a lot of people outside of New Orleans were wondering whether or not it shouldn't maybe be relegated to the dustbin of history. And I think we kind of showed them that.
And you know what was sort of like the icing on the cake I think for me and for our city as far as coming back, is when our team won the Super Bowl.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I think that it brought us together in a way that no other kind of event could have. Knowing, of course, the history of the Saints, knowing the Aints as far as that goes,
right.
and then having to deal with the fact that we were world champions.
Oh, look at that!
Once again,
yeah. I'm jealous, Alan. I'm jealous, brother.
So yes. So let me just continue in that vein. That I want just remind everybody, if you have not seen Shotgun before, it's going to be up, and guess what? It's going to be gone, because as soon as it goes up, we take it down. So please don't forget. Don't think you're going to be able to go back and see it at a later date, because you won't. The next one after that will be Mold, and once Mold is over with, it'll be taken down, and you won't be able to see it again. It's a tribute to John that we're doing this. A tribute to Greg Johnson, our director, who is actually shepherding the work and kind of working the actors through their paces, and we want to thank him. He did a marvelous job with Rising Water, but that was only a two-hander. This is going to be 5 people. And the other members of the cast include Sarah Nasumbuga and Mike Harkins, as well as a young man who I talked to today for the first time, Andrew King. He's going to be taking on Mike's son's role. And again, I don't have all the names of the characters down, but again, essentially, it's the story of a man and his son who come to live in a shotgun with another family, and the man and his son that I mentioned first are a white family, and again, the people who own the shotgun are Black New Orleanians, and they all have to live together, kind of under the same roof, and come back and deal with what's going on in the city at that time, which was a really rough time. And the next setting that we have will be in August, approximately a year later after the storm. That'll be the setting for Mold. Will be a returning couple come back to try to put their lives together to decide whether or not they're going to move back to New Orleans or just let the house go, because they have a choice. So that'll be Mold. And again, various aspects of Katrina. Rising Water was the actual experience of the couple that are probably at the end of the play probably not going to survive. Although I was a little bit more hopeful until I talked to Mr. Bigonet, and he said, "Nah, they didn't make it." I said, they got rescued, didn't they? Nah, no. So and I guess this one is going to be again dealing with everything it is in terms of having to kind of like be determined and come back and say, this is going to be my home again. I'm making New Orleans my place to live, and I'm making this a mindful choice, etc. Let's go back on again. I want to take a look at some more of the stories of some of these pictures that we've got. You've got to tell me a little bit about this picture. Now, this again looks like another religious figure, but he looks a little bit more.
Alan. That's from a horror film whose name escapes me right now. But I think I was doing some sort of ritual, trying to rid a kid of a evil spirit, so to speak.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure that out. I noticed the other night I mentioned I was turning on the Marvel Cinematic Universe or whatever on Disney Plus, and there you are. you play a general, I think, for the Fantastic Four.
The Fantastic
And
Four.
I was trying to remember, all the different times but that one, I mean that now, how does it feel to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? That's
That was interesting because, truth be told, they couldn't say, but I actually was playing Colin Powell.
Very
So,
good. Yes.
that was quite an honor, even though they couldn't actually say that, to be playing someone so distinguished as him. But
Yeah.
I can say, okay, I'm part of the Marvel family.
Yeah.
That was an interesting project to work on. We actually shot that in Baton Rouge, and I think there's an actress in there, that local actress that you probably know, Deneen Tyler. Deneen played my right hand person. She actually was playing and they couldn't say that either. I'm drawing a blank right now, but it'll come to me. But yeah, just playing Condoleezza Rice. Thank you.
Okay, that makes sense.
My wife just said it. Thank you. Yeah.
So and then now this is another piece. This is from what?
Oh, that's from a short film that I shot in New Mexico. Oh my God. You remember the name of that show that shot in New Mexico Bay? Yeah. In the water. Thank you.
But I was going to say, it's not part of Shark Week, huh?
No, it's not part of Shark Week.
Because
Yeah.
you look like something's coming out of the water. Maybe I was making sure of that.
Short film that was they shot in the studios in not in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And I was the lead character. And in that short, I actually lose my mother. My mother drowns in the house, and wow, I can't believe how many things I've been in the water. That's really
Yeah, I know, quite a bit. And now we talk about swimming with sharks. Here's one from the House of Cards.
Oh, Mr. Spacey.
Now, of course, he's fallen on hard times lately.
Yeah,
not exactly. Yeah,
that's season 1. I think it's like the 4th episode where
House
they
of Cards.
established me as a longtime friend of his. We're from the same small southern town. And I'm the mayor of this town now, and he comes back to town because there's a controversy that involves this monument that's hanging up that's supposed to be in the shape of a peach, but it kind of looks like something else. And
we can imagine what it might look like. Yeah.
And the townspeople are upset about it, so I asked him to come back to try to help me figure that out. And then they brought me back in season 4, when his character was running for the presidency. And I brought him into this church. In fact, Cecily Tyson was in this episode. And I was trying, I was his pitch man to try to sell people on voting for him. But that was a great experience. That was my second time working with Kevin, because in the late 90s, I went to New York to do a movie with him called K-Pax. And that's where I actually met him. So
I have to ask, he's considered one of the most intense actors around. I mean, pretty much, right?
He is.
What did you garner from working with him in terms of the times you had the opportunity to be with him? What was it about his method that is different?
I don't know if it's different, but he's a stickler for details. Between takes, he would go back and kind of sit in his chair and focus. There's some actors. I'm kind of one of those actors, depending on what it is. Between takes, I can just start talking to crew members, and when they're ready for another take, I can jump back. It doesn't work that way. Once he's on set as whatever character it is he plays, he's that way the entire day until lunchtime, and then he's back in that character. And so he's not one of those type of actors that you can come up between takes and engage him in a conversation. He doesn't work that way. Right.
So I guess, would that be considered method actor? He's really into that character.
I guess so. Everybody works differently, and I respect everyone's process, so it didn't bother me at all.
Well, again, you work with some of the best, but I have to say, probably your greatest co-star. There you go.
And she still is. She should come see this picture.
Is she around? Say hello.
I think she's downstairs. I'm upstairs.
All right, that's Zardis, of course.
Yeah.
And Zardis is you've been married now how many years?
39.
39.
39. It'll be 40 next year. So I'm hoping we're out of this COVID thing because we have some big plans for our 40.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't show the picture of your child.
That's pretty funny, Alan. Okay, that's a story behind it.
All right, so and he's not doing a commercial for any lawyers. That's Big Frida there.
That's Big Frida.
Yep,
Big Frida was prepping for his first feature film role, and his representatives got in touch with me because they knew I was a coach, and they hired me to be his acting coach for.
Yeah, and again, right now, I think we covered most of everything, but you do teaching. That's what you're doing for the most part. You're not really involved with many roles now because everything's shut down. But again, just a reminder that you have done voice work and you teach people how to do voice work, but mostly acting. That's your major source right now of what you're dealing with in terms of
and
teaching.
I also do career consultations for people because a lot of people, particularly ones that are starting out, they don't actually know where to begin, and so I will guide them and assist them in taking them in the right direction. And I take people of all levels. Sometimes they're true beginners. Sometimes they're people who have been in the business for a few years but feel like they're stuck and they're not moving forward. And I try to help them push their careers forward.
Is there any one particular person that you're associated with that you're very proud of that you would say you mentored and that they're maybe just embarking now or maybe they've achieved some success already that you care to name? Or
there's actually a young man from here. I didn't mentor him. He actually was in the pilot Shepherd, but I got a chance to work with him. His name is Kelvin Harrison Jr. And he's from New Orleans, and he's doing extremely well now, particularly in the independent film market. Look him up. Kelvin's probably like in his late 20s, but we worked together on Shepherd, and he just blew up after that.
Yeah. There are a few other people who are basically, watching. Again, I remind everybody if they wanted to leave a message or a question for Lance to do so, and you need to, if you're going to be using your account through the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, that's what we're broadcasting to. If you're using that account, you have to give StreamYard.com the right to do that, because a Facebook group is requiring membership and it's a little bit different than regular users, etc. So you have to give them that permission to allow it to, basically pop up on StreamYard. But it's very simple: StreamYard.com/Facebook, and you just put in your name and whatever you need to do. They'll give you the okay to put anything in. We've had a few comments more. Somebody just letting us know that they're there and that they're watching, etc. So we're glad that they're part of the broadcast tonight. Again, I'm delighted that you're here tonight. Again, those of you who are watching know that we broadcast these things on the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, but also the theatercriticism.com Facebook page. And just a reminder as well that you can also see it on my own YouTube channel. So you don't have to be a subscriber. You can just go to the YouTube channel and it'll be broadcast live stream there right now, and it'll be archived there on that site. So if you miss it for some reason, you can just look that up on YouTube. And again, coming up on Monday night, we get a chance to see you in all your glory, reprising your role. And again, I know that it's to me very special because I saw Shotgun, as I did all the plays with the Rising Water trilogy, all on stage with the original, leading actors, etc. And I was just so taken back with it. I think that John really captured the spirit of New Orleans better than anybody else could have. And I think part of it is because he is born and bred, and he does understand the undercurrent of the city. He does understand how special the city is. This is a time where a lot of the traditional values of New Orleans, I guess might say, are being challenged. There's a lot of people who are talking about white privilege and where that has put theater and where actors maybe should be, especially Black and Indigenous people of color, should be given more opportunities and things of that sort. I know that you probably didn't experience a lot of opportunities when you were first here in New Orleans, and may have been maybe one of the reasons you had to go to Los Angeles to get.
It was the reason why I had to go to Los Angeles. There was no film and TV work back here in the 70s, or very little.
Are you seeing changes now, constructive changes that you're seeing? First steps?
One of the biggest changes, and I mean, it's hard for me to believe, but there was a time when I could not be on La Petite stage. They were not open to, oh yes, and I'm talking about
and I never thought about it, but
as recently as the 70s, you did not see us. There was another theater in the French Quarter called Gallery Circle Theater.
Sure, yeah,
and I did a show there. So to see the direction that Gallery Circle, that La Petite has taken now with artistic director's name is slipping my
Maxwell Williams.
And Maxwell, I absolutely love what he's doing.
Yeah. And of course, Don Scott Cooper's there also as managing director. I think, they are trying. I mean, not everybody's going to be able to get, a home run. In order to be able to advance the bases, so to speak, you have to go to first, to second, and to third before you can get home. But I think that there are people who are generally trying to make, inroads. And again, they're not going to get it right. People are going to have complaints. They did this wrong. They did that wrong. But, I think that this whole question, that we're addressing right now is one that probably should have been addressed, as you mentioned, decades ago. And we're now, trying to play catch up. And so in trying to do that, we're probably going to cut some corners where we shouldn't and probably step on a few toes. But, it's going to have to be done before we get to a point where people feel comfortable but
if you think about it, Alan, fundamental change, significant change never takes place without pissing somebody off.
Well, I guess I'm the result of a lot of change.
You pissed off a lot of people.
Apparently so, from time to time. Being a theater critic never makes you the most loved man in town. I can tell you that much. But I never do anything, and I hope people understand this. I never do anything out of meanness. I know one time there was a particular actress who I have in the highest of esteem, who I mentioned did not particularly give a great performance one time, and I took it on the chin. By a lot of people said, "How can you dare say that about that person?" And again, it wasn't done out of malice. It was done out of the fact that I believe that particular person was off that particular time. And I thought that they were much capable of a better performance. And I said it not to be spiteful, but just that was my honest opinion. Again, I would never hurt anybody intentionally. It was done in a sense of just being a critic and just trying to be, the person who has a certain trust placed in his charge, and to give it as good a job as I can, and give that job back the way it's supposed to be. And it's a contract. I consider it a very, very important part of what I do in terms of just like you on stage. You want to give the very best performance that you can, so that people don't feel like somebody's phoning it in. And you've never done that,
And sometimes people are just miscast. That doesn't mean they're not good actors. Sometimes they're just miscast.
Yeah. Well, how was this? This is a pretty easy job, huh? For an hour.
Oh, I don't even feel like we talked that hour. And what a pleasant surprise to bring Aimée in. I just sent her a text message about a couple of days ago, and she responded a couple of days afterwards. So I'm looking forward to the day when we all can come back. And
me too. Me too.
Do that.
There's only one thing preventing me from seeing theater, and that's an open door. And so I hope that you feel the same way, that, an open stage for you, an open door for me. Hopefully we'll all be able to be back. And again, thank you Lance so much for being with me. It's going to be a Lance weekend because I'm going to see you for rehearsals
Yeah, you're gonna
tomorrow
see me for 2
and Sunday,
rehearsals and
then,
Monday, right?
and then we have Monday the performance of,
Right.
of Shotgun. I hope everybody will stay there. Lance, stick around for just a little bit. Again, I want to thank you for being with us. Again, those of you who have been with us, that was Lance Nichols. My name is Alan Smason. Again, NOLA Theater Talk. We appreciate you being with us. Again, if you want to check it out, it'll be all archived on the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, theatercriticism.com Facebook page, and my own YouTube Music Lovers 169 channel that you have there. And again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being a part of all of this. Again, I must tell you that, as I like to say, I'll look forward to seeing you all at the theater.